I call to order the May 27, 2021 meeting of the Oroville City Planning Commission and Historic Advisory Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Flicker.
Here.
Commissioner Britton. Here. Commissioner Sheard. Here. Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Holland.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Jenkins. Chairperson Durling.
Here. Will everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. For those who haven't already done so, if you want to speak at the podium on any particular item, there are blue speaker forms over here against the wall. If you could get one of those and fill it out and give it to our clerk, it'll be helpful in us keeping track of the meeting. Staff ready? Huh?
Mr. Chairperson, I do not have any blue speaker cards for public communication.
And what about on the internet?
I don't have anyone raising their hand or speaker cards for this item, or for non-agenda public comment.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes. Anybody want to make a motion on the minutes? It'd be for the April 22nd, 2021 meeting.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes for April 22, 2021.
We have one correction. Sorry, I was slow. Am I allowed to say it now?
He asked that
Okay.
question.
I know, I was super slow. I motion that on the final item, it doesn't show that Marissa Howland was absent.
Oops.
I didn't understand that. Right?
The final item of the minutes.
Page.
Okay, I looked at it and then I turned it. Is it 7?
Oh.
Okay.
Good?
Yes, on 7, we just need to put Howland there. She was absent.
Yeah. On the other things.
Yeah, she was listed as absent on the others.
Well, that's a correction.
Yes.
Yes.
That's just the only correction I have.
Okay. Just include that in the motion.
Okay.
It was, who was absent?
Me, Howland.
Oh. Okay, I make a motion to accept the minutes with the alteration of Colin being absent on April 22, 2021.
Hey, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ready to vote?
And I don't have my thing here. Am I missing something?
Anyone want
There
to
it
change
goes.
their vote?
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you. Okay. Now's the time if there's anyone that wants to speak to the Planning Commission on a non-agenda item. You're welcome to do so. Just understand that we cannot take a motion or vote or whatever. We can just listen to your concern. Anyone want to do that? Seeing none, we'll go to the consent calendar, which we've approved the minutes already. And we'll go on to public hearings.
I'm going to abstain or step out for item number 2. And then would somebody come back and get me when we're at 3? Please, don't leave me back there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I open the hearing on item 2, minor use permit for drive-through restaurant. Staff, you have a presentation to make?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The project before you is do we have Hugh Murphy, the architect, on? He has a 415 phone number. Checking. Okay. The project before you is a proposal for a new drive-through restaurant on an existing pad previously prepared and designed for this or a similar purpose. It will be going into a space next to an existing Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant that has been in operation for about a year and a half. Staff has been working with the applicant for several months, and we know that he has been considering many sites along Oro Dam Boulevard. He's finally identified this site as his preferred location in spite of the perception of congestion on site, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. The drive-through as proposed is a dual lane with 13 car stacking, more than either of the 2 Starbucks. The one on Oro Dam has 8 cars, and the new one on Olive has 10 cars, and more than the KFC, which has 9 outside of the driveway. There was a lot of discussion about the stacking at the new Starbucks, if those commissioners that were here at the time recall. There are a few problems there. There have also been some problems at the KFC since it started, but patronage has since stabilized, and we believe that the congestion that was there at the beginning is quite a bit less. And as COVID winds down, the heavy use of the drive-through restaurant genre that we see today will also reduce to some extent. The Arby's site is going to be under separate ownership, as separate and distinct from the KFC and from the rear offices, which is under a third ownership. The site itself, the Arby's site, has not previously been used except as a parking area, an overflow parking area. And the proposed site plan maintains ample parking for Arby's, which we count 25 spaces. And for all other users of the property, there's 47 serving the rear offices and 24 serving KFC. So parking is ample. Arby's traffic, the way this project is designed, will also be distinct, with all Arby's patrons immediately being diverted to the right upon entering the driveway. And there's ample vehicle stacking and space in that part of the site. In short, the KFC, with its larger footprint and popular product line, causes most of the congestion on site, a situation not likely to change significantly with the Arby's. That is, of course, up to discussion by the Planning Commission. The site plan also maintains the existing second way into the rear offices, which tenants have been using when the KFC line has blocked the existing driveway. So about the perceived congestion, or the actual congestion, depending on where you come down on this. The city engineer, we had a development review committee meeting, and the city engineer and the rest of the staff do not believe that this project will exacerbate existing congestion already extant on the site. This is because traffic will immediately be diverted to the right. There's ample vehicle stacking on the proposed project. So the KFC will likely be unaffected. The engineer has not, therefore, recommended any driveway improvements. The driveway itself is 27 feet wide, which does meet our city standard for commercial driveway widths. And the city has not required a traffic analysis for this project, in part because one was not required for the KFC, so both projects will be paying the traffic impact fee instead, which will be used to support new development throughout the city. The city engineer, we queried him pretty hard on this. He's further noted that occasional inconvenience during peak hours does not appear to be enough to warrant triggering changes to the site's entrance at this time, or even changing the KFC's site configuration. Regarding the fire access, the fire marshal is fine with the access as proposed, has not required a second entrance into the site. However, he did think that it was a good idea to look to try and create a second EVA, or emergency vehicle access, to the rear, which would more easily be able to get to the rear offices should something happen back there. So staff and the applicant will be working with the CVS business next door to try and arrange a cut-through, either for emergency purposes or for a back entrance to the property. We note that the KFC has tried to do that in the past, and CVS expressed no interest in participating in that. So after many options having been considered and many sites being looked at, staff recommends approval of the project as proposed with the following specific conditions: that the property be posted for no trucks other than delivery vehicles. Truck parking did occur or has occurred on the vacant site, but if Arby's gets built, then there would be no room at all for trucks. The DRC has recommended that the applicant record a separate landscape maintenance agreement with the city in case the property is not adequately maintained under the existing agreement. The 3 parcels that you see, the entire site there, is under a landscape maintenance agreement that has been executed and recorded. So the current owner is responsible for maintaining landscaping and the property. But we are asking Arby's to also take responsibility should that not occur. We are asking the proponent to work with the city and CVS next door to try and create that extra emergency vehicle access. And then should on-site congestion become a chronic concern, we're asking the applicant to take several measures, including line expediting with, like at Dutch Brothers, with people out there taking orders in advance, working with KFC and Margaret Scheinman, who is the current owner, to develop a common driveway configuration or some site improvements that might alleviate congestion, and that is if it becomes a real issue. Note that the application materials include a letter, it's page 20 of your packet, from Margaret Scheinman, the current owner, supporting the project. And representatives of KFC are present and will want to testify. And the applicant team is in attendance as well, including Anoop Kang, the developer, architect Hugh Murphy, and realtor Brian Luttrell. That's it.
Any questions of staff at this time? Okay, I'll open the public hearing on item 2. Staff, got a presentation on it? Or you already? That was it, okay. Okay, we're ready for anyone that wants to come up, specifically the applicant at this time, to make a presentation if they desire to do so.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone. My name is Anoop Kang. I'm the franchisee for the proposed Arby's in Oroville. My family and us have been involved with Arby's for the last 12 years. We have a few stores in Northern California. Our closest store that you guys might know is the store on Sky Parkway in Chico. And that's kind of where our interest, it's been a process, but that's where our interest in Oroville really took place. There used to be an Arby's in Oroville many years ago. That was a different group. But we get many, many customers coming from Oroville to our location asking us, when are you guys going to rebuild Oroville? It's such a long drive for us to come try your food. And I've talked to Wes for so long now, finding locations on Oro Dam or Olive Highway, and we really designated this site as the preferred one. Originally, like Wes had mentioned, we've gone through a ton of different site layouts. Originally, when we really wanted to propose this Arby's, we wanted to do something that has dine-in capability, outdoor patio seating, which we have on this layout, as well as the drive-through use also. Originally, we thought to do something similar to the Starbucks near Panda Express, where the drive-through would come from the front, exit towards the rear, but we didn't have enough stacking, which we were concerned it could go on to Oro Dam, as well as it would cause more congestion to the middle common drive aisle. We've had discussions with the city engineer, with Wes, and they kind of proposed the idea of this double drive-through. This is going to be a prototype double drive-through for Arby's. They only have a few that they're testing, but they allowed us to do so because of this site. Like Wes had mentioned, we have Arby's. Typically, we do a lot less volume than other fast food brands. We're still kind of growing and growing, so we have a lot less customers, a lot less traffic. But on top of that, we have a 13-car stack. We try to do the best that we can to keep everything on our parcel, so none of the traffic flow would impede onto KFC, impede onto the back office tenant, and we're really excited about this location overall. I know Oroville has been growing a lot in the last few years. Us having only a few stores, we're very, very involved with all our locations. We're very community-based. We're involved with the local high schools, the local communities. We're hoping to hire at least 40 to 50 people up front, which could really provide some jobs to the community. And as you guys know, Arby's, we're not a typical fast food brand. We're not another burger chain or a Mexican concept. We kind of offer a different niche than what's being provided currently. We're roast beef, deli sub sandwiches. And, we're very excited about this location if we are accepted, and hoping to answer any questions that anyone would have. Thank you.
Any questions?
Have you tried to get with CVS to attempt an emergency entrance from their property?
Yeah, we have. I myself tried reaching out to corporate. Our architect, Hugh Murphy, his firm have had their firm for many, many years. They've done some work with CVS previously. They also tried to get a hold of them. Our, perception of them is when they need something, they'll really, really reach out. When they don't really care for anything, they're really non-responsive. So we have tried. We're continue to try to keep the further discussion going, but has been no luck as of yet.
So it doesn't look likely, does it?
As of right now, we really haven't. There's been, no optimism that shows we could, but we are currently trying to reach out to them about different scenarios, about cutting through the middle. They're across where the office building goes, maybe go across from there or from the back end. So we're open to any ideas. We hadn't had any luck so far.
Okay. Thank you.
The city engineer and Don, our Assistant Community Development Director, went out and looked at potential rear access points out there, including through the pole line that's behind there, the PG&E line. And I don't know if Don wants to comment on that, but it did not appear to be feasible because they would have to move some poles to make it work right.
That's correct. At this point, the best option for an emergency vehicle access would be through the rear portion of the CVS parcel. And so we can also try to reach out to CVS to see if they would be willing. But again, our fire marshal said that it wasn't a necessary to make this project viable, but it would be desired.
What, Dawn, what about the milk company? Their property doesn't go back far enough?
There is an easement or a utility gap between the milk company loading dock and the CVS parcel.
Okay.
So there's a full PG&E utility access line that runs through there. But the poles are in such a manner that there isn't a wide enough width for emergency access vehicles through there. So poles would have to be moved, which would be very costly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? Is there anyone else? Did we have any? You said we didn't have any. Anyone else that wanted to speak?
Mr. Chairperson, there are a few blue speaker cards I have, and I'm not sure if anyone online wants to speak because no one's raising their hand yet, but we'll start with the blue speaker cards. Okay. Our first speaker is Phil Atterbury. I apologize.
Hi, I'm Phil Atterbury, and I work with a franchisee that we operate the KFC there on Oroville Dam Road. Our big concern is really not the Arby's as much as the congestion in the driveway right there. Entering to Arby's the way they have it designed, I don't see there's going to be a problem for them entering. It's the exit that's a huge problem, even right now. Cars pull up to exit and they'll back up because there's traffic. And then you got two restaurants trying to come into that one exit right there. And it's our belief that that is going to be a huge choke point right there. And in talking to the businesses that are in the back right there, we've had a few conversations with them. They don't even like us being there as far as the congestion trying to leave the site or people trying to get in. I mean, Arby's did a great job with their stack and bringing it around like that, but it's the exit. You got 27 feet enter and exit right there. I mean, at the least, I think that enter and exit would need to be widened so you could have two cars next to each other wanting to exit. You know, some people want to go one way on Oroville Dam Road. Some people want to go the other way to alleviate that. I mean, and we do back up along that aisleway there. Right now, for the last 3 weeks, things have been sort of quiet for us because we pulled off all our advertising, all our specials are off because we can't get enough chicken. We're running out of chicken nationwide, believe it or not, because that's where sales are. And we have stores, you know, in the thought that this is going to alleviate when the pandemic's over and lobbies open. This has gone on too long. We've got restaurants where the lobbies have been open for months. Nobody's eating inside, at least with us. Everybody's taking it home. I mean, the lobby's open and they come in, or online ordering, which is a cart, and drive-through. Drive-through, it's changed the whole deal, at least for KFC. I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, we've had problems getting buckets, boxes, bags. That's where the business is at. And even as states open up, we haven't seen any change in that whatsoever. Are people coming in and sitting down? Not really. It's my belief that people have decided to eat at home. You know, pick up food, take it home, and eat. It's hard to tell what's going to happen. It's been a strange year. I don't know that anybody knows what's going to happen. But that's our biggest concern is the traffic right there on that in and out entrance right there. Because I think cars are going to go in and be in their drive-through, but when you come across that exit, they got to come across the exit lane, the enter lane, for Arby's to exit right there. And Arby's is really not a competitor with us. I mean, people have decided before they leave their home that they're going to KFC. We're not a spare of the moment item out there. But really, that's our biggest concern right there.
Any questions?
I have one for staff. Is it possible that you could make a right turn only for exit there?
Yes, that is possible.
Peak hours.
To condition a right turn only exit for peak hours, put a sign there at the driveway saying right turn only.
If you leave it up to their decision, whether it's a peak hour or not, that ain't gonna work, right? It would have to be right turn only, in my theory. Would stop a lot of congestion, because he's absolutely right. If they want to turn left, or damn, as you can't turn left when you're coming out of a parking lot.
Yeah, it's called a suicide lane for a reason, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a condition that we could put on the project, yes.
Okay.
Anything else from the commissioners?
I have a question for staff. What is the distance between the frontage if you wanted to add another driveway? Is there not enough distance there on the frontage?
There is enough distance on the frontage to add length to that driveway. We might not be able. We might run into a property line on one direction, but the other direction we could probably do that. The clearance issue is that there are two monument signs close to the driveway entrance, one on each side, and one of the monuments would have to be moved if the driveway was widened, but that is not an insurmountable problem.
What about adding one on either end of the...
Oh, you mean a second driveway?
Yeah, like out of Kentucky Fried Chicken, they want to just make a right turn, they just come straight down and turn right.
Oh, I suppose...
On the west side of where their drive-through comes down, if they just want to go right, they can go right. It's a right turn only.
I suppose that's possible. We would have to talk to the city engineer about distance between driveways. Most communities do have a minimum distance between two driveways. And if the new driveway was created, of course, Caltrans would have to be brought into the situation, and they would have to review it as well.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Thank you, sir. Okay.
Mr. Chairperson, our next speaker is Tasha Holland.
I'll just introduce myself. You pretty much covered everything. I'm the district manager for KFC, so I run this whole Northern California market. So same concerns. Right now we're in a very slow period. This is probably the slowest we've been like the past month. But with us opening our dine-in, it is going to start getting busy once everyone catches wind. A lot of our customers are seniors and they want to sit down and eat, and they miss sitting down in the lobby. So once we announce that, which is coming up next week, to where they can now come in and sit down, it's going to get a little busier. Delivery should start picking up once we get our national promotions and everything like that. So we have multiple delivery drivers trying to get in and out, during peak periods as well. And then you add on, we just hired another 10 people. So we're building up to, 40 people getting ready to get back on those promotions on TV. So it's adding more cars, as far as employee parking and things like that. I have a location in Eureka. We've hired about 50 people, 60 people, and the employee parking alone was such a mess because you got limited space. So the employees are trying to get in and park. then we end up parking on other people's businesses, and then that becomes a problem. So I'm a little concerned about just all the congestion with those back businesses, because they're always coming over and talking to us if we're parking the wrong spots, or we got too much traffic flow here and there. So it's just a little bit of a tangled mess when we do really start picking up those sales again. So big sales are coming with our promotions getting ready to get back on TV, since all the shortages, kinks are starting to get worked out. But so that's just if we could make it safe, main thing's the customers. That's my biggest thing, is we got to deal with it when they can't get in or out, and they're coming in and saying, oh, I'm stuck in the parkway, or I can't get by, or I almost got hit by someone coming into that entryway, because it is tight. We came out today on our way out, and even just to turn right, those cars have to wait on the street, so they're stopping on the main road, because if a car is slightly over a little bit too much, they can't get in. So it is a little tight. It's usually one car waiting for the other. So if you just kind of watch it does get pretty tight to where they can't effectively flow. So if we can get it widened, that could be a little bit of a solution too. And that's pretty much all I got. He pretty much covered everything.
Are you willing to, pitch in for the cost of the widening of the?
That would be a Phil Atterbury question.
Well,
Put it this way, if it encompassed using part of our property line, we would let that happen.
Okay.
As far as cost to do it, the curb and gutter, no.
Well, if you widen
If you're
it,
going to have once you come up to this podium here, if you're going to widen a entry or an exit, then you have to alter the curb and gutter.
Right.
That's.
I would believe it's Arby's that wants to go in here and make this work. That would be on them. We could use some of our property for that, because it would encompass, I think, using some property from both of us to do that. We're good with that.
Okay. All right.
All right, anything else?
Oh, I have a question of Tasha. Do you know the secret recipe of 12 herbs and spices?
I'm getting pretty close. I know
Okay.
there's milk and egg in there, salt and pepper. Okay, that's as much as I can give you.
All right, thank you.
We want to keep our doors open, so. All right.
Our next speaker is Brian Littoral.
Commissioners, thank you for everything you guys do and taking the time for this tonight. I'm Brian Littrell, Coldwell Banker Commercial. I'm here to represent mostly Margaret Scheinman, the owner of the property. I'm sure you all are familiar with Margaret. She's been a developer and property owner in this town for 40 years plus, probably. With this development, we have been working with her every step of the way, as you can see from that letter. She's very pleased with the process and the concept that we are proposing. Little contention is that, again, with the KFC, when it was designed, they didn't talk to her about that. And so, again, the way that the project has been developed, we've maximized what we could with a prototype with Arby's. We've worked with the city, worked with, again, property owner, and we've spent a lot of time tweaking that to make it work. We have not changed the development from one aspect. When it was approved by you guys originally, it was 3 parcels with 2 restaurant pads and the building in the back. All the ingress, egress, traffic flows, everything for fire life safety has not changed. Now, hindsight being 2020, with the congestion problem that we've experienced on the property, lots of moving parts to that with COVID, with restaurant being new, those kind of things. Part of the problem is also no mitigation. The customers were allowed to just basically do as they please and, park in the common area driveway and actually bend around, blocking the entire thing. If, you know, you look at something like the Dutch Brothers, or you look at something like with In and Out, where they're very proactive with customer and, you know, again, getting the orders done, putting somebody out in the stacking line when it gets big and helping mitigate that. If somebody has a big order, having them pull into one of the sites or the parking spots and wait to have someone bring out their meal. Those kind of things, as far as an operator, when they are a good neighbor and they do those things, it works well. And so I think as far as part of alleviating some of the flow, being proactive is essential. And with the exiting, I do see, you know, again, with if you did have a big flow, that would be somewhat of a concern. There's also 2 ingresses and egresses on the KFC site. So with a little bit of conditioning of the customers as well, they can go down to the other one and make a right out into the lane and not be waiting right at the driveway. It's another way of just kind of minimizing the impact. But bottom line is that also the tenants in the back, I question if they are really not on board with the project, because Go West Realty just signed a 5-year lease and upped their rent, and they're completely aware of the project with Arby's going in, voiced no opinion against it. Dr. Hidari, I can show you on my phone, I talked to him last week even. He's expanding in place, and he's spending another $100,000 to make his office bigger there. He has no problem with the Arby's. Again, he's completely aware of it. So as far as the tenants that you talked to that said that they, you know, again, are opposed to the project, I've been dealing with them longer than you guys have been here, and I've talked to them on a regular basis, and nobody's voiced any concern or expressed any negative, you know, again, to the Arby's project. I don't think that the tail should be allowed to wag the dog and, you know, again, let KFC continue to operate the way that they have without, you know, again, trying to alleviate the problems that they're creating with their customers and invitees. I understand with the parking thing too, with additional employees. The project or the whole parcel, or the 3 projects for Sumner Square, which is what the development's called, has reciprocal parking. So the employees could actually park down the side of the building or behind the building, and it was perfectly fine. So again, that's another way of alleviating employee parking on both sites there. The place is overparked, and there's places in the back that, and then on the sides of both sides of the building, that never get used. So again, owners on board with it, and this development was meant to be this way. And I don't believe that one operator should be denied the opportunity to bring the jobs, the tax dollars, and also the money that Margaret is selling that land for, which is the same price that they paid for theirs. So again, to deny the property owner her benefit, to deny the other operator an opportunity to operate in this market, and to deny the city the jobs and the taxpayers over a problem that could be mitigated with a little proactive, you know, again, employee training, I think that that's the, you know, again, solution. Another problem that has been occurring and going on with the difference in the operators too is trash enclosures are not being locked, and it's creating a food source for the homeless. So there's KFC trash everywhere, and there's homeless that camp out right next to their dumpsters, and there's no mitigation done to alleviate it. I did go by the site right before I came here, and everything's looking nice. I think probably because they knew Phil was coming to town. But I also stopped by a Noop's property in Chico, and I took videos of both. As an operator, there's not one piece of trash, there's not one homeless, there's not any graffiti, there's nothing at their Chico store. As far as an operator goes, and my track experience of doing this for 18 years, that's a solid operator. And so as far as that goes, both places at 445 in Chico and 515 in Oroville, there was no stacks in the lines. So again, it's at this point in time, it's dinner time, and there was not a problem. So I think too, it's lessened as the newness of the KFC has, you know, diminished a little bit. And I think again, with COVID kind of opening things up a little bit, those stacking problems have alleviated. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you for listening.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do. So I went by there today as well. So I think the issue with the tenants parking behind the building is they're afraid to. It's dirty, dumpsters out, windows are broken, graffiti on the wall, homeless are camped in there, landscaping's not maintained. So if there's a private ownership, I don't see it. I mean, actually, KFC's building looked fairly nice to me. But what I didn't like was the graffiti on the trash enclosure that's there. Again, the broken windows. So I talked to a few tenants, and they won't park in the back.
Okay.
So if there was some sort of way to keep that place maintained, maybe you could have the tenants, Quest and Remax and Go West and the other people, park in the back.
Okay.
And you could have customer parking up front. But until they feel safe and not having the homeless camping in the breezeway or in the trash enclosures, that's not going to happen.
Understand. And I will express
So-
that to Margaret as well. As
So
far
if
as
that
the
was,
concern.
yeah, I mean, that would probably help a
She's
little
in
bit.
San Francisco, and because of COVID, she hasn't been here for the last year or two.
Understandable.
So that's kind of partially.
Understandable. I saw this being built 15, 20, whatever it was, years ago.
So it's one of
But-
those things that I will pass that along. And as far as mitigation goes, there is a POA there. So as far as you don't want to add anything to operating expenses because nobody likes that. But
Well, they pay cam charges, right? So
Well, that's what I'm
what are they
getting at.
making up? What is the cam charges for? What are they?
well, the operating expenses. So basically, it's taking care of the landscaping, the parking lot, striping, and or
Which the
resealing.
parking lot hasn't been re-oiled or striped, it appears, in a long time.
Well, I know that there was an issue when they built the KFC. There was, again, heavy equipment, and so I know that some repairs had to be done on the main one coming in, and the other ones haven't really even been utilized that much because there hasn't been anything there since it was built. So as far as the need for it, it's probably coming due, but as far as it needing it up until now.
So who?
I don't make those decisions, but
So, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I like the Arby's plan, and I like the way they have the double drive-through. And I think having 11, 12 car stacking is fine. But I just want to make sure it's all maintained. Whose responsibility is to maintain the front of Oro Dam and the sign out in front?
that's again
The monument sign.
part of the POA. So technically, Margaret is the primary property owner, so she would be the one that would control the CC&Rs, and she's handling quote unquote the property management as the developer and the majority owner. I know she's had turnover of a couple landscape guys, but those things as far as the monument and the landscaping, especially up on Oro Dam, from my understanding from the landscape agreement that is in place for the Sumner Square with the city, that the POA is responsible for maintaining those.
And
And then it
so
gets-
what's happened? They don't collect enough on the cam charges to cover that, or?
No, it's just, again, the landscaper that she hasn't been doing a stand-up job. And because there's no eyes on his job because she's not in the area, that's, I think, part of the problem from my, again, just being involved with the property and leasing and selling.
So do you see that changing in the future?
Yes, I do. I've had a discussion with her and let her know that with our, again, other meeting that we had, that the city was planning on doing more enforcement with the landscape agreements. And so I let her know that that's something that, again, be mindful of because they may come, again, saying, hey, you need to do something here. I put her in touch also with a couple of the actual commercial landscaping companies that we use in, Chico more than here, but ones that do the big commercial accounts. And again, unfortunately, those are going to cost more to pass along in the CAM charges, but that's something else that I've had that recent discussion with.
Well, I mean, if the tenants are happy there, then they'll be willing to pay it to get a little more safety and.
That's with also with COVID and charging cams on top of rent, people have all been running lean. And so as far as with increases in the cams that just come naturally with inflation or garbage, raises the prices or whatnot, she passes them along in time, but at the same time, she's not one that she wants to have a symbiotic relationship with her tenants, and she wants to make it work for her and them. So during COVID, you find a lot of the old school landlords being a little bit more flexible with the tenants as far as either being late on rent or increasing those CAMs over the last year. But bottom line is, with her being out of the area and the landscaper not having someone going after them and saying this, it was a poor choice of landscaper, basically, is the way I'm looking at it.
So, okay. So what you're saying is you or Margaret will work with city staff to make sure that that kind of
Oh, yeah, and
that gets
again,
taken care
it's one of those things that her intent is to ultimately sell the back building. And so again, if that does ever happen, then, again, that should also be something that hopefully would change that dynamic drastically, because especially if someone's operating out of the building instead of being an out-of-area landlord, they have a little bit more pride of the way their doorstep looks when their customers are coming in.
Right. Thank you.
Do you remember how long it's been or when she created this parcel?
The original construction, I believe, was showing 2008 as far as the public record for the back building. So the minor land division where she parceled it all out probably would have been 2006, 2007 before she started construction, if I had to guess.
For some reason, I may be totally wrong, but I think it's this piece I recall, and when the parcel was created, it was going to be for an office building.
Well, the back is either a mixed use, it's either retail or professional office. I think that the goal that we have with leasing it out and why she's been very selective and why we still have the vacancies too is she's turning down tenants left and right. She turned down WTC recently. She turned down the Prime Nutrition, who does the EBT. It's like a little grocery store for, again, people lower income. She just didn't feel that was a right fit and or, again, bringing too much traffic or a truck delivery or whatnot to the center. She envisions it more like a Class A medical professional center. So bringing in, again, other tenants like Quest or Dr. Hidari and having, that kind of presence is the vision for it. It was built as a mixed use, so it could be retail and so the front two pads ideally were supposed to be restaurant pads or, again, retail more than the back. But I think in just looking around Oroville, you have a bigger need for professional office. You don't really see any Class A office space or nice developments.
That's what I'm saying.
And so that's the way we've kind of positioned ourselves as far as highest and best use. And so even Dr. Hidari's put us in touch with some cardiologists last week that he has got relationships with that are looking for an office. So we're enticing them to come take a look. And, it's hard to find tenants that are willing to spend $100,000 of their own money on a build out. That's been the challenge, I think, too, with, filling the spaces, especially over the last year, because nobody's got gobs of money that they want to throw at a project. And her approach to it is you get long-term good tenants by enticing them to vest themselves into their spaces. So she'll give some free rent to, again, incentivize for signing a longer-term lease. But ultimately, she looks to the tenant to do their own tenant improvements. Once a tenant does that, they stay 5-10 years, because if you spend $100,000 on a space, you're not going to walk away from it too easily. So that's been her approach as well. So she's looking for high caliber Class A people that have a budget that can throw at their own project.
So the answer to my question is that I was correct in remembering that it was originally designated as going to be an office, medical office.
Mixed use, as far as my understanding, the way it was approved. Retail, professional office.
Okay, that's all. Anybody else? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chairperson, that is the last of the public speakers on this item.
All right. Seeing no one else that wants to make any comment, I'll close the hearing and turn it over to the Planning Commission for discussion and decision.
I am very concerned about a landlord who doesn't seem to care about the property and wants to put it all on the tenants. I mean, I love the idea of Arby's, and that plan seems beautiful, but it is really concerning and kind of fearful to feel as though the property isn't cared for. And I don't know if there's anything we can do to demand that the back is cleaned up. I mean, I don't understand how you can entice high-end tenants, asking them to do all their build-out, but yet not clean up the trash enclosure. So those are just my thoughts, and I don't know if there's any way to say yes, but also demand better attention because of all the added congestion that's going to happen here.
Commissioners, that would be more of a code compliance issue. So if there is code compliance issues that are visible on this property, we encourage people to submit code enforcement complaints so that those issues can be addressed through our code enforcement system. But also for this property for Arby's, staff is requesting a landscape maintenance agreement specifically tied to this property, aside from the POA that's also tied to the 3 parcels. So it would be above and beyond what's currently existing. So there would be an added layer for Arby's to maintain their property.
The 2-page document, the recorded document that you have in front of you is the 1979 landscape maintenance agreement for this property that had been executed that Don just mentioned. We are asking Arby's to put another one on top of that.
Any other commissioners? Discussion? Concern?
So this is going to be updated to something different, or?
That would be up to Margaret Scheinman, the owner, to change. It does have legal enforceable effect, and that's part of the code compliance issue that we are going to pursue. But we would require Arby's to take care of their own property in addition to that. So there'd be double enforceable documentation.
Okay, and back to what you said about the driveway. Does Caltrans have to be notified if you even widen the driveway?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you could check with them either to widen and or add one? Or is adding one more difficult than widening in respect to contacting Caltrans?
Either would trigger a process of review and engineering and monitoring of traffic and such.
And what's the timeline of them?
Weeks or months, perhaps.
If not longer.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
The commission at its discretion could approve the project subject to creating a driveway, widening the driveway, something like that.
Okay, thanks.
And Madam Clerk, I apologize, I'm forgetting the list, that you have a list of the speakers on there. So now Britton is on the list to speak.
So, Mr. Chairperson, each person has a button that they can push so that they can request to speak to the group. And so it looks like Mike pressed the button so that he would like to speak.
Okay.
I would like to add a specific project permit condition to all items 1 through 10. I would like to add a right turn only sign at the exit and possibly a striping that would it would show the exiter what his lane is and the entrance what their lane is. Is that possible?
So you're suggesting striping the center of the driveway?
So people aren't pushed over for people entering and they have to stop, right? And that would be fairly simple, and an exit right only sign.
We'll confirm with the city engineer, but I think it could be done.
I think so. Yeah, the signage would have to remain on site. Otherwise, again, it would open it for Caltrans review. If it was to be off-site within the right-of-way, or if there was to be any sort of
On-site would just be on the other side of the sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that.
Any other commissioners, discussion on the project, concerns? I have some, I'm gonna raise mine then if there's nobody else. I wish I'd remember to bring my pointer with me, my white pointer, so you can see what I'm talking about, but there's a stack of parking that backs into the main driveway, and I have a concern with that. Especially the handicap one. Trying to get out and back out, especially when, there's heavy people stacked in the main drive trying to leave or even come in. And you got all this parking backing into that driveway. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the fact that there's no at least a handicap parking up against the building, so that a handicapped person and wheelchair or whatever has got to cross the drive with where cars are exiting after picking up their food or whatever they're exiting, and you've got granted you've got hash lines there, but I just have a problem with that conflict of forcing somebody in a wheelchair or even somebody that's sightless and they're trying to get there. I just have a problem with that. Another one is you come in and you make a right turn. Now, granted that I'll go. You make a right turn, and then it bends to the left, then you've got to make a left turn across potential traffic. Huh? There. I wish let me show you. I have a problem with this. Coming this way, and then crossing this traffic coming this way. Now, granted, right now there's not a lot of traffic coming that way. There may not be, but I just have a problem with that kind of design where you're forcing people to have a congestion or whatever. There might be a stop sign here or something that anybody coming, trying to get out that way would have to stop so that this people can have a free access into the lane. The overall concern about traffic, you only got a single driveway. I suppose that whatever use you're going to have there, it's going to generate additional traffic, which is fine. But this type of use, especially in the evening, dinner time, lunchtime, whatever, mainly, they're both going to be generating quite a bit of traffic. But I don't think it's fair to penalize Arby's. So I'm kind of torn about that. It would be nice if there was a second exit point or something, but I'm not sure how that we can make that happen. But those two major concerns, I'm concerned about. I can just see people trying to back out on the, and that's where people coming in. Making a right, they could park along the parking stalls that front or face or dam, and then walk across. But people coming in are more than likely just to go down and park. I don't know. You're basically people parking on there. First of all, they've got to back out into what's potential heavy traffic. And if they do park there and want to go to Arby's, they've got to cross all of the auto traffic activities that are going on. Anyway, I think that's all I had. You raised your hand earlier that you wanted to make a comment or respond.
About the landscaping.
Huh?
About the landscaping.
Yeah, if you want to, I closed the hearing, but I had forgotten that you had raised your hand, so.
It was about the landscaping and Glenn's comment about the property owner not maintaining the landscaping. We maintain the landscaping on Oroville Dam Road up against the sidewalk for the simple reason Margaret will not do it. And we do it at our expense. I mean, that's where she's been at on maintenance on that property. And, you know, I think she's been cited for not maintaining at least when we first started building. I think whoever took care of the landscaping, whoever we had to turn in a 2-year agreement with, said, "What's going to happen up front?" I said, "We're going to take care of it." So they said, "You're good." But, I mean, to think that that's going to happen, history would say it's not going to happen.
Well, you might discuss that with staff. That's not something we can do anything about
No,
here.
I raised it when Glenn was making that comment.
Okay.
I just wanted to make that comment, so I think you probably already knew that, so.
All right, thank you.
Can I comment? Am I allowed to? Just my 2 cents, and the way we designed it, we do have the parking lot, the handicap parking in the front, and we do have another spot in the back that's already existing. The one in the back that's facing the other office building. Oh, sorry. So there's one handicap in the front that Carl had mentioned, and there's another handicap in the back. If there's a concern about pulling out in the middle of the common drive aisle because of the congestion or traffic, they are able to use a handicap stall in the back, which we are planning on keeping. The concern about walking across, like you had mentioned, the drive-through, if there's some type of signage that we need to put out for cars to stop, watch out from people, crossing, then proceeding onto the exit, we're more than happy to do so. There's different things and ideas that we can do when cars are pulling out from the drive-through window and trying to exit, being mindful of people if there are people crossing. Any ideas towards that, we are open to doing so.
What about the stop sign for traffic going south that would conflict with the traffic going north, making a left turn into the stacking lane?
Well, which area, if you can just explain? So, this area. So yeah, it's going to be striped, and there's going to be designated areas with directional signage pointing people towards the drive-through lane or going all the way around. Originally, we had it designed as a one-way drive aisle, but we pushed the building back, made it a two-way drive aisle just to give the office tenants in the back and people who are parking a different access point to exit. But that whole drive-through to two-way drive aisle will all be designated. There will be directional signage. Usually some drive-through lanes are 8 feet. We made them 10 foot wide just to give people a bigger access point to enter. But that'll be designated. There will be directional signs pointing people towards the drive-through. So it should be pretty clear about which cars are going to the drive-through and which cars are just using the two-way drive aisle to go all the way around.
Okay, thank you for responding to my concerns. Is there anyone else that has a question or concern or seeing none, we'll close the public hearing again and ready for a motion or additional discussion if you want.
I'd like to make a motion to approve use permit UP 21-05 with the adoption of the resolution number P 2021-06 with adding condition 11. Turn only sign with striping in the driveway.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
You have a second anywhere?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Ready for the vote?
Motion carries with 4 yeses, 1 no, and 2 absent. Flicker's recused absent. Can someone?
Okay.
We lost a commissioner.
Can we ask Flicker how she would have voted if she was here?
No.
We're not even allowed to ask that after we voted?
Ask what?
I wanted to ask her how she would have voted if she was here. Okay, outside, but we've already voted, so. Because she's in the area. Okay. You had to stand? Oh.
You can. I can hear it. You
Oh,
can,
good.
You can sit in the.
Well, I didn't know what doors.
You might get lost. Yeah, I know it is.
It's a maze.
It is a maze.
So item 3, internally illuminated.
Chairperson Darling, may I have you turn on your microphone, please? May I have you turn on your microphone, please?
I'll do it again. The next item's item 3, internally illuminated sign for Century 21. The staff have a presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Connor Musler, Assistant Planner. This item is an internally illuminated sign for Century 21 at 2061 Montgomery Street. Currently, Creative Imaging has their studio located within this building. Century 21 is looking to sublet this building. They will be having the front lobby area, and Creative Imaging will remain in the back studio. When I had spoken with the owner or applicant for Century 21, they had mentioned that Creative Imaging doesn't need that large of a studio, so this will help them offset the cost. So this new sign will be a halo illuminated sign. So essentially what that is it will be, the lights will reflect onto the wall, creating a halo effect around the letters. This is a encouraged sign type in our new sign code that this body did pass and is awaiting final approval of the City Council. So with comparing it to our current sign code, maximum of 50 square feet of sign is allowed. The total sign area proposed is 33.5. Maximum wall area that can be taken up by signage is 10%. This takes up roughly 7. And then maximum height of signage is 20 feet. This is at 2 feet tall. So this signage meets all of the city's sign code regulations as currently adopted and as proposed. This building, just to note, is also not listed as a historic or local landmark. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And I believe the applicant is here, correct?
Any questions of staff?
Is it in the historical downtown district, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and all these requirements of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And as a reminder, we're operating with our second hat.
Yes, so you guys are currently operating as
Now,
the Historic
historical.
Advisory Commission
Right.
for this approval.
So just
So we won't
kind of a
want
reminder. Yep. Oh, yeah, I forgot, you could twist it. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, I open the hearing on item 3. Anyone want to make a presentation? Do we have any
No.
blue sheet on anyone?
Mr. Chairperson, I do not have any public speakers on this item.
Okay, well, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and open it for discussion amongst the commissioners and have a motion and a second at some point.
I think it's a great sign. I love it. I think it's perfect. I'm wondering, is there going to be signage for the photography place in the back? That would be, I don't know, it's great.
I had it painted on the window for a while, on one of those
Oh,
windows.
yeah, and maybe it is still there.
Yeah.
Because it's great double use of a space.
I had a question.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You have 21 on the right.
Uh-huh.
Is that 21, the numeral 21 on the left?
Yes.
I mean, why is it smaller? I mean, what, I don't,
The logo, the C.
huh?
See the C around it?
It's like the new
Like
logo.
a C with a 21 inside,
Look,
that's the
Carl.
logo.
Yeah, okay.
And then the
I
name,
just-
Century 21.
It just threw me. Huh? Yeah, I see it up there, but, I don't know, it just seemed out of balance to me. That's all I had.
So Connor, so is every letter lit up, or is it like the Union? So every letter will be lit up?
Yes. But
It's different.
so the Union is just a traditional channel letter. It illuminates from the front. This will be more muted towards the back.
Okay.
It'll look great at night. I think, too.
Similar signage. There's not much of this sign type within the city. A similar one that some of you may recognize is the Three Hearts Vet on Olive Highway. They do a halo illuminated sign. So that's, I think, pretty much the only one within town.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other comments or whatever? Ready for a motion?
Try to make the motion.
There you go.
Since I've never made a motion yet. I motion to adopt Resolution P 2021-08, approving the signage plan and nope, I'm on the wrong one. So see, I can't even
07.
do it right.
Come on now.
I'm way ahead. So someone else could do it if they're there.
Page
closer.
33.
Okay.
I'll let you finish.
Okay, I'm close. I motion, there we go, to adopt resolution 2021-07, approving the sign permit to erect new signage for the Century 21 office at 2061 Montgomery Street, Oroville, California.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Nope.
Okay, ready to vote?
Okay.
Any changes in the vote? Oh, what happened? You voted and then you unvoted.
Oh, well, I was undecided. Oh, no.
Okay, so we're all decided now?
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
All right, thank you. All right. Ready for item 4? Open the hearing on item 4, internally illuminated sign and electric message boards for Oroville Convention Center.
All right. Good evening,
Staff?
commissioners, again. This item is for new signage at the Oroville Convention Center. This was previously the Oroville Municipal Auditorium. The Oroville City Council renamed it on March 16th after some extensive repairs and renovations that have been undertaken with the building to hopefully get it out for tenants and for events. So this new signage will reflect that name change. It is a halo lit sign again for part of it. The Oroville will be a neon lighted channel letters. Those both are encouraged sign types with our new sign code, which is not yet formally adopted by City Council. This also includes 2 electronic message boards. This will replace the existing static reader boards that were there with the letters that you had to put up. This will allow the events and community happenings like the Salmon Festival or the YMCA's blood drives to be better advertised for the community to attend. The signage is, for those, is 48 square feet, and then the internally illuminated signage is also, for the total, 203 square feet. Something to note, the zoning for the property is open space. This is partially because it is on the levee, so the levee is a park/open space area. Our city code has sign guidelines for open space, which says identification signs shall not be subject to a sign permit. No maximum area is delineated for open space signing if it is identifying the use of the building and provides information to the public, both of which this signage program intends to do. So, if there's any questions.
Any questions of staff?
Are the lamps there, or is that just an artistic rendering in the?
The lamps are currently, the 3,
Yeah,
those are currently there.
that's wonderful. And then when is the water going to ever come back to the fountain?
Yeah, actually,
It's recycled water, isn't it? I mean,
The city council approved about 5 or 6 years ago to have the fountain removed to accommodate an accessible pathway to the building.
so it's going
From
to,
Myers.
but it's going to be removed in the future.
Yes.
And what's
Is
going
that
to go
for-
there?
Don, is that for handicap
Yes.
access? Yeah.
So it'll be a ramp.
So it'll
that's
be a
the ramp.
switchback
Yeah.
ramp.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Who maintains those message boards? I mean, who
It's a good question.
does all that?
Those will be cloud-based message boards, so it'll be city staff in conjunction with the YMCA who's leasing the building. So we can both control the messaging in coordination with each other's events.
And they're not low enough that people can mess with. I can't quite tell on the.
They are intended to be vandal-resistant coverings over them.
Is there such a thing?
One can try.
We can try. I love the light at nighttime.
And that's the appropriate number of fish that are actually going to be there. Are they there right now?
They're currently there.
Okay, that's what
They
I
were
thought.
actually painting the building today, I think.
Oh, they're
Yesterday.
doing the stucco coat.
Oh, is that what it was? It was
Yes, the
brownish,
exterior of the building has undergone extensive renovation. The roof has been fully replaced. The west and north walls, the stucco was completely removed and replaced. There is other dry rot areas of the front area of the building, and the wing wall, or this parapet wall that the sign will be placed on, has been resupported and stuccoed. A new paint coating will go on the building in the next month or two. We're getting on the painter's schedule here any day now. And so that the whole facade will be updated. So fresh and clean. And the Oroville that's illuminated in blue here will actually be illuminated in gold.
Ooh, fun.
Matches the water.
Oh,
I know. I kind of
So
liked
that-
it too.
say that again.
Maybe it can be optional. You can go blue or gold.
Where the fish are, you talking about?
No. Where the Oroville that's illuminated in blue, the sign
Second picture.
Oh.
will actually be illuminated in gold.
Yeah.
I had a question about the fish. Is that a signage or is that just
No,
painted?
The water
They
marks are currently painted on the building. We're planning on changing the watermarks to be more river tones and less oceanic
Yeah, good.
tones.
The metal, the fish are metal. Those are the ones that were like underneath the bridge that people keep stealing.
Yes.
Yeah,
kept
those are
stealing.
Yes,
physically
these
attached.
fish,
Right, exactly.
Right, like that one, right.
these salmon, yes.
Cool. Because I looked at the fish in the water and it just didn't seem
up
like
there now.
Salmon don't, I guess they go out in the ocean, don't they? I mean,
And then they come back.
the most important thing is they come
All
up
the way
by
to the
river.
ocean.
Yes. So the water waves will be painted in more river colors.
Okay.
Do the message boards go off at night, or will they illuminate all night long?
They can be dimmed at night.
Okay.
Unless you walk past them.
Well, nobody should be out there at 3 or 4 in the morning. Yeah.
The idea was really just to do something similar to what the State Theater did with their marquee, since that is a very nice sign and it reflects, the modern kind of historic area. I'm not
Apartments
quite
downtown.
sure.
Close.
All night.
It's all night. It keeps it safer downtown with all the lights.
It can be controlled to
Yeah.
be dimmed at night, yes.
But currently, the salmon are illuminated, or there's uplighting on the salmon throughout the night. And before the municipal auditorium neon letters were taken down, they were on all night as well.
Did you fix the floor? Or did they?
It is fixed. It's a beautiful new gymnasium
I'd
floor.
like to see it.
So you said YMCA is using the building?
Yes, they
So-
currently hold the lease for the building.
So
For the
then
whole
when
building,
somebody
right?
wants to have a party there, then they have
They-
to take their walls down, or what do they do inside?
Oh, inside they would just coordinate the event lease with the YMCA.
So they haven't really put up walls or broken it up into rooms or anything? It's
No,
still
no.
open.
It's still going to be an open gymnasium, and they're going to have recreational activities scheduled there.
Okay. Nice.
Any other discussions? Questions? I close the hearing. Ready for a motion?
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution P 2021-08 approving the signage plan with, and electrical message board on the Oroville Convention Center at 1200 Myers. Is it on Myers? Yeah, I guess. Myers of Oroville, California.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a
Nobody said
second.
anything.
Any discussion on the motion? Ready to vote? Anybody want to make a change down there?
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the program here tonight is reports, discussion, and correspondence, and somewhere in there, the Development Review Committee is a 2-member committee, and one of the members has reached their time to retire, so we need another person to volunteer for the Development Review Committee.
Yes, the Development Review Committee has had membership of Tammy and Glenn, and Tammy's been on there for the 4 months. That's requisite in there. So Glenn would then move to chair the Development Review Committee, and we would need one more volunteer or appointed member to sit on that now. The next meeting will be on June 10th, which is Thursday at 1:30 p.m.
So do we have a volunteer?
I would do it if no one else wants to do it.
I don't have, I'm out of town. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, he works during the day, right?
Then I'll do it. I mean, I want to do it. I just have to.
then go for it.
Okay, go for it. You are hereby appointed.
Okay, June 10th, and someone's going to send me something so I remember this?
Here's a pen.
You
You'll
get a,
you'll get a packet
Okay.
like this, but you just don't vote on anything.
okay. Well, Glenn will tell me what to do because he's the leader.
4 months now?
So you should know.
think 3 or 4, yeah.
I did it all last year,
All year?
following somebody. No, I don't know, I don't remember. 2 years or something.
Lifetime.
Okay, we have commission reports next and staff reports. Anything from the staff?
Yes.
I'd like to update on what's going on with the apartments at Nelson and, well, that too, Nelson and Table Mountain, but also Grand and Table Mountain, if you have any information.
The building permits have all been approved for all projects. The senior apartments on Mitchell, the Nelson Avenue affordable housing and the, what's the name of it? Orchard Ranch?
Olive Ranch.
Olive Ranch.
Yeah, is it going to keep that? I love that.
Yes, it will remain Olive Ranch.
Awesome.
At Grand and Table Mountain, all of which have started construction or grading or are about to. And interesting that you should mention those. Phase 2 of the AMG Riverbend Apartments, the one on Nelson and Table Mountain, has submitted their drawing set for the Development Review Committee meeting on the 10th of June. And so the DRC will review that project at that time. They have also submitted Phase 2 of the AMG Mitchell Senior Apartments, the ones that are in that vacant lot behind the Days Inn, there near Feather River. They have purchased the lot next to the Days Inn, the one with the big tree on it, and are going to build 36 more senior units as Phase 2.
And save the tree.
Don't know yet.
Side will be then all the way down. Yeah, that'll be good.
So that's the status of all of those projects, and the state has triggered another round of the 9% tax credits, which most of these projects have applied for and are taking advantage of. So these developers and the developers of the
Olive Ranch.
They changed the name in the middle, and my mind hasn't caught up yet.
Got to get olive in there some way.
Think of the Eamon House, our olive history.
You know how old that olive
Yes.
orchard was?
Wasn't it the Eamons?
125 years old.
It's incredible.
Yes.
And there's a monument.
Yes.
The monument's going to stay there.
Saw one fell. There were looks like two. Were like
knocked over.
Yeah.
One got
Yeah,
knocked over.
they'll get it placed and in a prominent
Awesome.
location and everything there.
That'd be great.
So we're going to have another round of affordable senior projects here coming up in the next year. And on June 1st, the City Council will hear the appeal of the proposed market and liquor store at 1275 Feather River, the one that this body did not approve at the last meeting. So the applicant has filed an appeal, and the City Council will hear that appeal next Tuesday.
Somebody from the Planning Commission
Oh, yes.
present or tell them why we felt this way?
Commissioner Sheard will be available to present.
Am I presenting from, well, I guess I could mush it together because it goes together, but am I representing the Planning Commission or myself as I live in the neighborhood?
I think you're representing the
You're representing the Planning Commission.
Planning Commission.
Okay.
You say it has to
You're
do with us
expressing
too.
what the reasoning behind the
Okay.
decision of the Planning
Do
Commission.
you want me to email you all on what I'm going to talk about? I've already kind of worked on it. I could.
Yeah, I'd like
If
That
you
way
have-
you guys could shoot me back corrections or ideas or.
Commissioner Sheard, that would be a
Allowed?
Brown Act violation.
Oh, okay, so I'm not allowed to talk to any of these people. Okay. I got it.
That took care of that.
Commissioner Sheard, you could talk to like one other person. You just can't talk to a majority of them.
Okay.
Not a group email.
Okay, well, one person would be helpful. I don't know. I just don't want to represent everything myself.
Send it to me then.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, it needs to be
Okay.
not personal.
We'll take it
It's
from there.
more.
Well,
as
I've
the
already
committee.
sent a couple emails to the council members, and I intend to do all of them. So it's already on my to-do list.
It's whatever. I'm
Okay.
available.
Okay. Thank you.
On June 15th, the council meeting, at that time, the Stott advertising billboard appeal will be heard by the city council. So that's another project that this body has not approved, and will need a representative to explain the Planning Commission's rationale for that one as well. That's my report.
Okay. I just wanted to report a few things. We have received the plans for the Hampton Inn and Suites, and so the Hampton Inn and Suites, and they will be breaking ground here pretty soon, and that is at the location to the north of the Starbucks and Panda Express parcel, snugged in the back there. Also, there was a request for some information on the City of Paris sign at the corner of Robinson and Myers Street. That sign is on private property, so the city does not have the authority or jurisdiction to repair that sign or to renovate it and bring it back to life, but it could be at the property owner's discretion. There is also some arts funding that may be available in the future to apply for by the property owner to make the needed repairs to that sign to bring it back. Also, I would like to report that we have appointed Mr. Connor Musler from student intern to assistant planner.
Yes.
So,
Fantastic. Well deserved.
well deserved. And that's all I have to report this evening.
Okay, is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm not sure the name of it. It's the hotel that your company manages that's having an issue.
The
How's that
Ritz-Carlton?
going? Huh?
The Ritz-Carlton?
Yeah, that one.
McGuire Inn and Suites or the
McGuire Inn.
Oroville
Can
Motor
you tell us
Lodge?
what's happening with that? Are they repairing it or fixing it, or, I mean, it had a long list of things that they were supposed to be check marking.
Yes, and this list of items is being worked prior to a use permit for as a lodging facility coming before this body for review.
So
And
right
it's
now, there's
taken-
nobody there?
Well, there are tenants occupying it. They have evicted a number of tenants who are not complying with the rules. The city did a court-ordered inspection of the property, I think 2 weeks ago, and because several tenants had refused entry before, so the city got a court order, so all units have been looked at, and they are now the code compliance and the building departments are compiling the notes from that inspection.
That's great.
The overall, and I wasn't there, so I'm getting all this secondhand, and Glenn, you may want to add to it, but there have been improvements in the property since the last inspection, but they are incremental and not nearly where everybody wants it to be.
Timeline as to when it has to be done, or, okay, you guys have 1 year, or,
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's been kind of difficult because you've had the COVID, you can't evict.
true.
And with these types of tenants, it's been hard. And, an out-of-area owner from Vegas. So I think we're at about 60% vacancy now by moving people out.
6 or 60?
60%.
Okay.
So we're getting them out. As more of them break, we did a fairly good lease. So with strict rules, so we can kick them out. And so a lot of them are breaking those rules, so we're evicting them. And I think the plan is to not have it as an extended stay any longer, is to maybe go back to a typical motel type.
Overnighter time.
Overnight, yes. And then I think as that goes on, they've got plans to get the pool done, to redo the parking lots. They're doing repairs every day, although it's slow and
Like a 5-year plan.
trying to catch up with the code enforcement. So they put a lot of time in it, but really until you get rid of the occupants, it's very hard. And so that's why we're doing, just getting rid of them all. And city's been patient, but they've been stern. And, you know, the goal is just to get it cleaned up and having it functioning as a productive part of the downtown.
Any improvement is definitely an improvement compared to what it started off, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. For
Yeah, it hasn't been
getting
easy.
it. Oh, I can
Yeah.
imagine, it's probably not.
It's not an easy one.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I
As a reminder,
Natalie has.
Yeah, I have my historic advisory report.
huh?
I have my report.
Right. And then we're going to schedule a special meeting or something to go over this eventually?
No,
we're gonna
I
do it
wanted
right
to
now.
do it right now.
You're going to do it right now?
Don't I get to do a report every time?
No.
I don't?
Why not?
Put me at the earlier part of the meeting.
Okay.
So I'm not last on the agenda.
You are now on the agenda. I mean, on the
You have the floor.
floor. There you go.
Thank you. So starting with the City of Paris sign, also this kind of segues into what Don said. The pat answer is that we can do nothing. I guess this little report is, I believe we can do something. But to start with what I know about the City of Paris sign, I did talk to the real estate agent, kind of brainstorm with him a little bit, wanting to talk to the owner who is trying to sell. There is an offer on the place right now. He doesn't know if it will be accepted. If it is accepted, then we'll be dealing with a different owner, and that would be wonderful. But it kind of brought me to consider, we know these landmarks are important, and we even saw a little bit with the landlord of the Arby's space, this idea of these landlords that own these gorgeous buildings, not that that lot is gorgeous where Arby's going, but that own these historic structures seem to have an advantage to do nothing, to let them go into total disrepair and just hold that as their little bank account until they want to sell it. And on the next page, I just wanted to show there's the Hecker House, which is in white, which is, of course, cared for and being brought back. Next to it is the Marks House, which is a beautiful home. All those little corbels underneath the ridge there. I mean, that is extremely unique. I think it's the most detailed in the whole historic district. The owners, it's basically empty. I think they just do the bare minimum. The bushes, you can barely walk on the sidewalk. The bushes are so bad. We've spoken to them. They have no interest in ever fixing it up. It's just hold it forever, until they decide they want to sell it. So it brought me to the question, what can we do about something as important as the City of Paris sign? I mean, in my mind right now, that is the most important structure that I think needs to be saved. And I thought, I know we have our landmark program, but what that program, as far as I understand it, it just really saves your property for the future. It makes it difficult. It kind of encumbers you. You can't really, it puts more restrictions on you as an owner, and you have to pay for it. It's a great thing, but I don't see it as encouraging or enticing people to sign up for the landmark program. So I wanted to consider, how can we encourage restoration and preservation? There's got to be a way to do this, to flip it, instead of it being advantageous to let buildings just rot and have them boarded up. Town Tavern is an example. I think he might be working at that. Even something like the Ford dealership. There just seems to be no motivation or enticement for them to do the right thing with their property, the right thing for Oroville. So I looked at, just broadly on Google, which anyone can do, what do other cities do? And I just listed a few things. How do they encourage it? And one thing they do is offer a waiver of plan check and permit fees. And I think the reasoning behind that is, when you restore a building and repurpose it and use it, the money that you bring into the city coffers by increasing your tourism and your retail far outweighs the money that you've lost on the permit and the plan check fees. And that is a real enticement that a lot of cities do. Another thing that cities do is they have restoration, excellence, or merit awards for outstanding historic restorations. Anything from plaques to publications to something in the newspaper. I mean, it's just all over the map. But there's a way that you recognize, as a city, as a historic advisory committee, buildings that are restored and are cared for.
Chico used to do that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen on real estate listings for Grass Valley or Nevada City where they have shown the plaque. So it even becomes something that helps your home's value, of course, which...
Vacation award.
Yes, that the sky's the limit with that. The other thing they do is they create publications, which actually this is something we're supposed to be doing, that catalog and index historic structures. This is how Grass Valley started, and I think now they actually publish a book. So it becomes something that people want to be in. They're excited about it, and it's this real sense of, oh, let's, improve so we can be recognized. Cities, and these are all cities that do this. Cities sponsor historical education, tours, special events. I don't know if this is more county, but you can get a 5-year tax abatement program where once you take over a building, like say the City of Paris building, your property taxes would stay at the rate when you bought it, not the rate after all of your improvements for a time. Another thing they do is just more pointedly, they have different campaigns where you would choose like 4 structures that you wanted to highlight. And you help with plans, historic markers, have public awareness, fundraising, help people get on the National Registry. This is an interesting one, I thought. Some cities offer public improvements as incentives. Like you fix up your building, we'll improve your sidewalk, we'll improve the alley, we'll give you better landscaping. I mean, we've got great landscaping guy that could help put in a beautiful tree for somebody as a reward. Those are just some ideas, and I don't have to go on to the next section, but the next section are items from the general plan that I think give us authority in their goals, policies, and actions to implement some of these things. I don't think we are encumbered. And like I said, you could read them here. The general plan definitely says that we are to encourage restoration. We're to assist in it, in a lot of different ways. It's the heart of the city. It's extremely important. So one thought I had about the City of Paris sign, what if the city, and I'm just out of the box thinker, what if they gave us the sign, almost like an easement? The sign belongs to the city. In exchange for your building being a landmark property, but you don't have to pay for it. So we're not going to charge you the $1,000 for that. So right away, your building is protected. But we, as the city, like I know we own a lot of lots in town, we maintain the sign. And we make it beautiful, and it's ours. And I'm not saying you have to decide. I'm saying I believe we can do something to encourage as a city, as a historic advisory committee. Because I think if we keep leaving it to owners who don't care, who are out of town, we're not going to see the improvement that we want to see. That's my item for your consideration.
The cost of restoring that?
I'm guessing 20 grand, but I don't know. I tried to call the State Theater and I haven't heard back because I'd like to find out what they did. I mean, there are grants. I mean, I think it's something we could definitely, a sign like that, I think we could get a grant for that. Fundraisers, I don't know.
Biggest thing is the owner.
Right, exactly. So that's why I thought, depending on how this goes, if this offer is accepted, depending on if we actually wanted to come up with something.
Well, and we don't even know what kind of business would be going in there, for that matter.
We don't. The current person who has an offer in wants to restore.
Very good.
So, but I don't know if they will be able to get it, but it would be wonderful. So hopefully we'll know soon.
Can you explain why a sign says City of Paris and the City of Oroville?
Yes. Myers, who Myers Street is named after, Ellsworth Myers, came here 1903 and borrowed the name from the San Francisco City of Paris, which is so funny. You could just take the same name even though you're not connected with that store. And the City of Paris in San Francisco, which is of no connection except for the name, is a historic landmark. It's stunning. So you can see that he was inspired to do a high-end, you can't really tell it now, department store. And so that's Ellsworth Myers. He was very involved in the city. He purchased the first fire department. He was on the Chamber of Commerce.
Whatever happened to that?
It went, department stores ended right around the 85. I don't really know why Oroville kind of went into a slump, what happened to the downtown. But when we were on the historic walking tour, there are people who remember shopping there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you all probably remember shopping there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So
My mother-in-law and father-in-law got married here in Oroville back in the 30s, and I remember her talking about that.
Getting her wedding dress there.
And they shopped there all the time. That was,
yes.
Had a big staircase.
That was it. And,
The sign is beautiful.
The history behind it is what's interesting to me.
Yes.
It's fascinating that the tie to the individual
Yes.
is. I was thinking, one of the things I was thinking is, you can buy the sign or purchase the airspace. I don't know if you realize that a developer or whatever has airspace above it that they own.
I didn't know that.
Okay, you own up, I forget the altitude, but 100 feet or whatever it is above the, and you can actually sell
The airspace for a sign or something.
Huh?
For a sign, maybe.
Well, I was thinking that rather than purchase the sign itself, you buy the airspace with rights to maintain it. Mm-hmm. So that they get some money that's less than if you bought the whole sign.
Right. Well, I was thinking we wouldn't buy the sign. We would take care of the sign. They would give us the
I'm
sign.
trying to give them an incentive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's where I'm coming from. What kind of way can we give? We can't afford to buy the sign from you.
Right.
So that's out. But for a nominal amount of money, if we purchase the airspace, so that we own the airspace around it and above it, and then gives us rights to maintain it.
Like an easement is what I think of it.
It's like an easement, but it's actually a purchase. You have a recorded document that describes the dimensions of the airspace, where it's at, and so forth, and purpose of it. But I was thinking that something like that gets the property owner some money,
Yeah.
but obviously a lot less than if you purchase the sign. It gets the city out of having to purchase it, which is a lot of money, but gets the city into maintaining it, and just having rights, because you own the airspace. You have the rights to maintain it without necessarily having the ownership of it.
Right.
And that would be by an agreement with the owner and so forth.
That's what I thought. And it's just going to go away in disrepair unless you get a new buyer who really can put the money into it. But it's a struggle. That building is expensive. I mean, it has work to be done.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like we should try to help, especially on that street. And now the convention center sign, and like I said before, the theater sign, and this sign would just really.
Is this a current photo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a bullhorn
Yeah,
speaker at the
what is
bottom.
that?
I don't know.
Announcing sales?
Not out loud. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it's in bad shape. Does it light up? Do we know if it still works?
I don't believe that it still works. And at this point, because the property is on the market and there is an offer on it, that we wait to see if that new owner closes
my
escrow
plan.
on that purchase,
Yes.
and then we try to work with them to see if they would be interested in repairing the sign at that point. Otherwise, we can look into it, but that's a lot of legwork for staff for a potential buyer being on the hook right now. So,
Yes, no, and I wasn't putting this on staff. I'm saying this committee, our historic advisory committee, and that just to consider ways to encourage restoration. Something as simple as awards, just to consider. And that's the end of my little report.
You have this picture of Town Tavern on
Yes.
there. Does the city have anything? We have a lot of boarded up, rundown.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but across the street, I'm like, Are they ever gonna, they can't really make it a car lot anymore because it's been vacant that long. Now it's kicked that out. Are they, is there something, I guess you can't really force the owner. Something like this, same thing.
But things
It's just
shouldn't be
rented.
boarded up.
Huh?
Things should not be boarded up
It
and
just-
left
it's all boarded
abandoned.
up. There's cobwebs everywhere.
It's not a good
the
sign.
The fence all dry rot.
My understanding with the property across the street is that the owner is working on other projects, and when they've completed those projects, that they'll be moving on to this project.
Oh, good.
So I don't know what that timeline looks like, but
That's why I think, and code enforcement, I know you had said you could call, and I have called on many buildings, and I don't really see improvements. That's why I'm wondering if by enticement, by encouraging, by
Well,
giving
you're not going to get any
rewards-
enticement on Town Tavern.
Well, no, I know. What I'm saying is, let's say you take a beautiful building like the Washington building that, Sean and Lori Pierce own and Chaz is putting in Coyote Cantina. You give them a reward. You give them a plaque on their building. You put it in the newspaper. They're honored at a at a meeting here. Just something like that, just to show we appreciate this. We value it, how important this is. I think that's what I'm talking about. Just encouraging it on a very small level, I think would be better than saying nothing.
Right.
We say nothing. I mean, I know we all value all that kind of restoration.
Well, I mean, there should be minimum property standards. So
Yes.
when the building looks like Town Tavern or
I
the
agree.
old Ford dealership, boarded up like that.
Yep.
Is there a minimum?
There should be a minimum
Well, the
property standard
nuisance
that you have to
ordinance.
keep it. I mean, Town Tavern's never going to change because of the owner. That's,
when a property is vacant like that, we require that it is maintained and secured.
But they're not.
So you secure it by sticking a board up
Exactly.
nailing to the windows.
Like the
and-
old J.C. Penney building, with the mermaid with her hair falling out.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
part of the tour just because it's abandonment.
so that's just something that council, I guess, would have to address, right, to change minimum property standards.
Or could we recommend that they change minimum property standards in the historic district?
It's an external obsolescence. It just looks bad.
We can look in and see what our codes say now about that and how much of an issue it is for enforcement and how much we might desire to initiate code change or regulation change or something like that. And that can be initiated by this commission. It could be initiated by staff, and it could move forward to the council for final approval.
And another point to make is that we currently have 2 code enforcement officers. We just hired 3.
Good.
So they
Thank
will be in
God.
training
3
here
more?
in the coming months. So we will
Good.
have more staff to help
Good.
hopefully be more proactive and less reactive at this point. Because we have 2 code enforcement officers for 20,000 residents, it is reactive. So
I mean, the downtown is looking much better. Getting a lot of activity down there. A lot of new tenants wanting to come in. Businesses come in there.
COVID starts lifting, more and more things
Yeah,
will.
yeah. I mean, we opened up a new office down there.
Awesome.
You guys
You know,
did?
what's that?
You guys opened a new
Yeah, we
office
are.
in there? Oh, cool.
That's great.
And with, and the Union and the Cantina and, everything on Montgomery is almost open, except for that little building next to Red Fly or whatever. But
Yes,
you're
and that
getting-
one we keep complaining on.
Right.
And I don't know how long that's going to take.
Wasn't like a bar or pool table place?
A billiard place, and
That
now
one-
it's just not. I
that
don't
has
know.
an active case on it
Yeah.
currently.
Oh, okay.
So as far, I guess I could study the nuisance ordinance some more because that seems like the closest one that I understand right now that has any. So that's easy to look at, and we could just study that, and maybe there is something simple to add that helps against this a little more.
Maybe I would suggest setting up a meeting with our code compliance folks, with David Goyer,
Okay.
because they work with this every day, and I'll bet they'll have suggestions
Awesome.
about how to strengthen it as well.
I would think.
Is that who you call when like there's garbage everywhere or?
You fill out a paper,
Yeah.
right? You have to fill out a paper, put
I
your
think
name
I've
and
done it
address.
before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would love to set up a meeting with them. That's a great idea to talk with them about it.
I'm excited. There's going to be 5 now.
Well, to me, we're a historic commission, but it's amazing to me how little people know of the history of Oroville. And there's nothing, you don't see anything repetitive of any nature.
Well, the downtown walking tour,
Yeah, but how many people went on your downtown walking tour?
we had 110.
Yeah.
That's when we opened the houses. But I don't know. I think he gets, I don't know, it's growing. He has people from far away. There's people who love history who love to do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the only repetitive thing I know of because that's the first Saturday of every month.
I'm thinking broader in the sense that eventually you're going to want the city council to budget
Yes.
for money and things, and so you're going to want public support for that because that's taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And to me, the broad issue is a finance one,
Yes.
and the solution or part of the solution towards the finance is education and get
Yes.
people to, as a community, as 20,000, well, a number of adults, it's not 20,000, but let's say 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, whatever it is, of adults really understand the history and get a desire to support that history and work in 2 or 3 years, build that up so that when the city council is debating to fund money to do things, there's support there.
That's what I thought.
And
We have
that's
to
what we
start
don't
small.
have. And,
Right.
You know, in terms of historical commission or we don't have that.
Right.
To me, when you have your tours, I would consider it a success if you had 1,000 people.
Well, yes, I know. To
But
be
that's what
excited
I'm-
about 100.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere, though.
You do. And the question is, what's the somewhere? You know, how do we get the people involved? And that's, to me, is a major part of the discussion. that
I
we
agree.
should-
I think a lot of it was advertising, because I know the first one I missed because I was out of town. The second one, I could not find advertising to know. I didn't know if it was happening. I found it like 3 days after the
After,
event,
yeah, me
and
too.
I'm like, well, gosh, if I'd have went, I'd have known. Now, this weekend, because it's Memorial, but the next weekend, June 5th, I know they're planning it because I know one of the buildings they're going through is the Monday Club
Oh.
up on Montgomery.
Oh, fun. I've always wanted to go in there.
Well, we'll be there because that's
Awesome.
my husband helps run that.
Awesome.
So they had called, and I guess they're going to do a bunch of walking along the levee and then cross over and then come back. And
Cool.
maybe the VFW hall.
Personally, I think if you guys want more involvement from someone younger, it would need to be online too. You need to have it on YouTube. Like
Well,
every,
Daniel does.
you know.
Yeah, we
Terry
do.
He is
walk around.
young. Who
Does Terry do it on?
I
she
don't
come?
know. Daniel though is young, the man who leads the tours, and I don't know if he does have a YouTube, but I should tell him. But he is.
But it
he
needs
is-
to be like top notch, not just
Yes.
like a shaky walking
Yeah, like-
video.
Yes,
it needs
exactly.
to be like, you know.
But we do want people to actually walk in the
No,
town.
and I get that, but as a busy mom, like the chances of me being able to
Yes.
come are
Oh, yeah.
slim. So like if something's online that everyone can share it on Facebook, you're gonna have a lot more exposure.
Yes.
You know.
I think that's how come we did get the 110. But that's why that's just one, a tour is just one educational component. There can be a history days. The Eamon House, I think the Olive Festival that's coming up.
June.
Right.
I think
That's a
that same
great
weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great one. So there are a lot of neat
But we
events.
don't have a historic olive tree orchard anymore.
I know.
Really hurts me.
But I feel, isn't this the only municipal body, so to speak, that has anything to do with the historic district?
That's it.
Okay,
Right
so I'm just thinking if we could put our heads together and think of something simple that we could do to not burden staff, but something simple, rewards, honoring, I think we just start somewhere.
I don't think there's anything that we can come up with that's not going to be some kind of burden on staff.
Okay, well, just a little burden.
Well,
We'll bring in so much money for the city, we can hire more staff.
okay, now you're back into my the main issue, and that's the finance part.
That's why we need retail.
Yeah.
We need events that people come to and they spend money and then yes, that's what we need. That's absolutely what we need. You need people to not go, oh, there's a lot of homeless there and other people are going to beg from me. You need it to be, you want to come hang out here, come to our festivals.
Speaking of festivals, I heard that they were merging Feather Fiesta Days and the Salmon Festival.
That
They're going
has
to merge.
been the request, yes. So
Oh, I
Feather
love
F-
having them separate.
just this year. This is the only year that it will
Well, they've
happen.
already had Feather Fiesta Days, so they
Well,
kind of...
they're going to do the parade the
Uh-huh.
weekend before Salmon Festival, which will kind of kick off the week, and then other events throughout the
Is that
week.
a COVID issue?
It was.
Yeah.
Well, that and
And
lack
I-
of planning, because I think
That's
Sherry
why
did
my
a lot
wife
of
and I
it.
would not go. My doctors made it real clear, if I get COVID, I'm dead. So we're, even with, when they get rid of masks, we're very conservative. And
Right.
I imagine there's a lot of people like
And that was really what it was. We didn't want to have 5,000 people in the downtown residential corridor to where it was going to create an issue.
Yeah.
And so we just requested that this year only we postpone it and just push it to September and merge it with the Salmon Festival to make a more robust festival towards the end of the year.
But next year, they're talking about separating,
Right.
hopefully, if everything goes right with COVID.
Putting the schedules back to normal.
Right.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Okay, I don't want to let this drop. I mean, we've had a good discussion, and I don't want to go away and 3 months from now say, gee, we ought to talk about history.
Well, why don't we all just think, and next time, I mean, we can do a little bit of research and kind of bring some ideas to the table.
I think so. I think we ought to.
How to encourage restoration.
We ought to take, at every planning commission meeting, we ought to put our hat on about history, otherwise, nothing happens.
No, what will happen is more decay, and it'll go away.
Well, that's exactly yeah, that happens. But what I'm saying, nothing positive starts to happen.
Right.
And if we can create the synergism amongst the commissioners wearing the hat of history, we'll start coming up with some definitive ideas that we can start putting together an ordinance or something to go to the city council. That's where we need to get it to.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to stay the way it is.
Right.
And this is a beautiful start. Mm-hmm. So I would like us as a commission to put on our historic hat at the end of every planning commission meeting, at least announce it, and if there's nothing really to discuss, we're fine. But we've got to do something that we're not doing. We're not doing enough. We're wearing this hat and we're not using it. So I want to see if we can start doing more to use it. I'll tell you why. One of the reasons I'm such a fanatic. Well, I'm not fanatic about it. I was raised on a big cattle ranch in Southern California. The actual ranch was owned by the land was owned by the county, and the county decided to sell it or do something different. He got rid of the ranch, and the ranch included a barn. Now, we're talking about a barn that's the biggest barn that you've ever seen. It had beams. They hauled redwood trees from the coast over, and on the site, trimmed the redwood trees to make 1 foot square beams to hold up the ceiling for hay. And the tonnage that we could put on that loft was incredible. The walk through, the aisle through, usually, fairly small for most barns. It might not even have one. This is 25 foot wide. You can take 2 large tractors going like this down the middle of this barn. It was huge, beautiful. I've got in my cell phone, I got a picture of it. And it was destroyed. It was just, it could have been saved there and become part of the ambiance that's there now.
A sense of place.
And it was, somebody made a lot of money. I mean, there was enough redwood in there to build 100 homes in that building. The whole thing was redwood. Trees hauled from the coast. Redwood trees, we're talking redwood trees hauled from the coast to make that building. And I went down there for a family thing, went by the ranch, just, a lot of memories, and the barn wasn't there. I was so upset. I'm not a very emotional guy, but I was madder than a hornet. And it was, in other words, that's a whole story. It's probably a good thing I didn't know they were going to do it. I would have done.
It's a big deal. It's what makes Oroville unique. It's what makes every place unique.
And that's what we've got to do here.
We have to preserve our uniqueness. We don't want to look like everything else.
If we're going to wear the hat of a historic commission, then we darn well ought to get on the ball and do something about it. Otherwise, why are we wearing the hat? That's my point. And so, I don't know if anybody else agrees with me once. If it's just 5 minutes, we open the hearing, da-da-da-da-da, any discussion, if we have anything to do, or somebody, staff, or whoever sends us something to discuss. But we got to get some synergism going here. Otherwise, you're going to be doing this for the next 10 years, and not a thing's going to happen. And that's what I don't want. So, I'm sorry, that's my 2 cents. I end my discussion. Any other things to raise with the commission? If not, we'll close the hearing, and the next meeting is the 24th of June, is it? Saw it somewhere.
Correct. 24th of June.
24th of June. So, that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me spout.
Yeah, thank you for listening to me. Write that. Oh, I might.
About 4 years ago when they had discussed the Williamson Act.
Good night.